Hello everyone, so for today I'm going to be talking about two different subjects that are kind of similar and in the same area, but I feel that they're both two completely different directions that I guess you could say happen at some point in our lives usually. And, a lot of it has to do with, characteristics and what defines us, because at some point we're probably going to ask ourselves, who are we? And, and in another day we're probably going to be like, this is who I am. And sometimes we want to go forward in our life and we want to do better overall. And there's two different directions, and there's probably a couple of other ones, but these are the two main different directions that people either go. They either want to become a better person, and that's just in general, or they want to just be themselves, you know? And there's weaknesses and there's strengths to both of them. When it comes to becoming a different person or a better person, usually that includes you, examining yourself a lot and really try to find some of the negative qualities because, we have a lot of different characteristics and things about us that, really stand out and make us, interesting or make us good people. But there's also some things that people may not quite like. Like, let's just say some people are just straight up dicks, and, I'm just gonna say that, and some people aren't, you know. And sometimes we're going to have to remove certain things or try to get rid of certain things that are negative impacts on us. And I feel that, let's just say for video producers, sometimes that may show up in just like small form factors, but sometimes we might notice things that we do in our videos a lot, whether it's a habit, something that's annoying, or something that we don't do enough of, and something that we need to do. And maybe, it has to do with something mentally or something physically. And because of that, we have to figure out which things are the best, which things are good, which ones are bad. And we try to remove all the bad stuff because, some people, they may sometimes hate themselves because sometimes their biggest strength is also their biggest weakness. And because of that, they need to remove certain things or try to change things for the better overall. And sometimes people may end up hitting themselves, not just because their biggest strength might be their biggest weakness as well, but sometimes they realize that they're hypocrites. Sometimes they complain about the same things that they actually end up doing. And they end up hating themselves for that. And because of that, sometimes they might strive to become a better person. And a lot of times, we'll try to remove so many things that after many years of becoming a better person, which either fails or turns out successful, even if it turns out successful and we become a better person, sometimes we may look back and end up realizing, wow, like you may think right off the bat that, wow, I was such a terrible person. But sometimes there might be interesting aspects or interesting qualities about you 5 years ago, let's just say, and you look back and you're actually inspired or interested in that. You actually like that quality about yourself, but you had to remove it in order to remove something, let's just say the bigger picture. Maybe it was just a small piece of the big picture. And because of that, we sometimes end up being like, wow, like, why can't I be like that anymore? And sometimes we may feel like, just slightly, it may seem weird, but like forcing those things back into us or, taking those things and bringing them back into us, and whether it's a quality or interest or anything else, and try to regain those things that we once lost or kind of remove from ourselves and try to keep away from us. But then that might end up bringing back in the negative sides to it, because a lot of things most things have a positive side, also have a negative side. So because of that, we end up not doing as good as we would think. And it's something that, this is really the negative side of it, and we may not realize it until years later. I mean, that's just how it is. And sometimes we end up in mix, we're going to try to mix different combinations of things, or like, okay, I'm going to try to, do more of this and try to completely block this out because this is the negative side. I'm going to try to do something to cut it off, whether it's like put some sort of trap or trigger into my own brain to where when I reach a certain point or mentality or situation that I'll know to like, okay, I do not need to make a single step forward because I know that I'm going to end up back over here again because in the end I'm trying to become a better person. Now I'm going to start on the side where we become just be ourselves. Or more like, I would say, strengthen ourselves. Now, we all have good qualities and we have negative qualities, and sometimes people just really don't care what anyone else thinks, and that's a great mentality to think most of the time, but that mixed with, let's just say, just being ourselves and be a better, I guess you could say, strengthen our qualities about ourselves and harness those good qualities, which sometimes may harness the negative qualities. Now, for example, let's just say if you're a really, really stubborn person, that can be a good thing, but also a bad thing. If you're a person that thinks highly of themselves or has their expectations high or is very, intelligent and smart, that's a good thing. But sometimes when you harness certain qualities, sometimes it can be a really bad thing because it may bring out other things into it and may open up the gap, and like you may end up doing it such a way that you bring bad things that come along with it most of the time. Like if you become overly confident, people just may not like you, and you may end up feeling like you're above other people or anything like that. You may end up becoming selfish without realizing it, and that ends up making you a bad person and very unlikable. You may end up asking yourselves like, wow, why is no one talking to me anymore or anything like that? And the answer might be just right in front of you, or, well, in this case, it is you. And let's just say, I used this word earlier in the video, if someone's a dick, and if they try to just be themselves and don't care what anyone else says, which, like I said, is a good thing most of the time, and if they try to harness the qualities of themselves and become a stronger-willed person overall, and have stronger personality, so on and so forth, they're just going to be a bigger dick. Like, I know that sounds weird, but they're just going to be a bigger and stronger... That sounds so weird. But they're going to be a bigger dick overall. I mean, he was a dick before, and now he's even a bigger dick. And sometimes people may, just have certain things about them that you just don't like, and are just really terrible, terrible things, and because they think so highly of themselves, or because they strengthen those qualities so much, they may not realize it, and they may become, damaging to other people around them sometimes. So I would say that's definitely the negative thing about it, because you do that, you're not just harnessing or becoming a stronger person on the positive side, but you're also on the negative side. And sometimes those positive things may bring some negative things alongside of it without you actually realizing it. And, it's like, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And that's kind of how it ends up sometimes, And so both of these things really have good and negative things about them, I really feel. And there's a lot of different directions and a lot of different things that people end up doing throughout their lives that really, sometimes they meet a certain point in their life where they're like, okay, I'm going to make a step forward and become a better person. Or, they're just at a point where, I'm just going to be the best I can, or, just be stronger. And like, well, the other good thing is that sometimes when you become more strong-willed of yourself, you don't think so badly about yourself, because sometimes there's certain things that you might have done before, and certain situations and certain mentalities you might have had before, and you had certain, like, you became too self-confident, and you started looking down at yourself, being like, oh, I shouldn't do this, and all that kind of stuff. If you strengthen those things, some of your, I guess you could say, some of your conscience or something else may actually disappear alongside of it, which may not be a good thing, and that probably goes into the whole thing of, like, negative qualities and things start going into it. But there's negatives and good things to both. There really is. And I think the ultimate, like, it's always just a matter of opinion and matter of perspective, really. And it depends on the person, really, because some people just need to become a better person because they might have certain things about them that just really makes them an unlikable person, which, at the same time, on the other side, who cares what everyone else thinks? So it's really just a matter of the situation and the person, really. But I feel that, there is a solution, and it's right in the middle, and a mixture of both, which is the hardest part. And I feel that the answer is really just being the better version of yourself, the best version of yourself. Because when you try to just change yourself as a person, become a better person in general, sometimes you end up taking away some of the good qualities that you had, which sometimes brought in the bad qualities. So it's a really hard thing, and I feel this is something that a lot of us, end up going through in our lives at some point. And we may end up looking back and end up, regretting it. And sometimes we may end up, getting in a bad situation and maybe asking ourselves a lot of questions when the answer is just right there, So anyways, this is just something that was just rattling on my mind. I was just thinking about because, these are questions that we think about sometimes from certain points in our life, and sometimes we end up having that point happen multiple times throughout our life. Like, when we first, hit 16 or 18, when we hit, age, let's just say 25 or 30 or something like that. I mean, it's, we change as human beings. We really do change. And, it's best for us to just change for the best. But sometimes, just like I said before, everything that has a good side usually has a negative side. And sometimes we might end up changing for the worst when we least actually expect it, and we may not notice it until years later down the road. So all we could really try to do is be the best version of ourselves. So anyways, that's it for this video. I'm trying not to ramble on, so thank you guys again for watching. And tell me guys what you think overall, and tell me guys which road you actually took, and how many times you've had to revisit this point where you're asking yourselves these types of questions. Let me guys know what in the comment section below. I would actually like to really know. I really would. So yeah, thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.